Hello friends and welcome to my channel. As you may have noticed, I took a little break from editing videos, but I haven't stopped working and I have so many interesting projects to share with you. And while I took a break, my subscribers and views shot up and I have 10,000 subscribers. So thank you everybody who have subscribed. And if you haven't, now it's a good time to join all the subscribers of this channel. This project I'm going to show you, I started just before New Year and it took 2.5 months to finish it. So it explains why I haven't had so much time editing this year. But I'm really happy on how it turned out and I'm going to share the history and everything behind this project. So let's travel back all the way to the New Year's. For a long time I wanted to make a traditional Finnish ryijy or ryarag. In December I finally got this Rya kit as a birthday present from my husband. However, then I had to wait for a few weeks to finish other projects before I could start my new project. Rya is a fabric made out of warp, weft and pile. The name comes from the word ruu, that means shaggy. In Finnish, the word has changed into ryijy, but in English the Scandinavian word rya is more commonly recognized. These textiles have a long history going all the way to the Viking Age and beyond. It is believed that the origin of ryas is in the fishermen's boat rugs. As fur would dry very slowly and become hardened in the process, the rya was a much better way of keeping warm in the harsh Nordic climate. The rya rugs were very expensive as they were slow to make and required a lot of wool. Therefore, the ryas were highly appreciated. It was common for Finnish peasants to pay their taxes in rya rugs, as well as with fish, butter, meat and grain. The oldest literary mentions of rya rugs in Nordic countries are from monasteries. In 1420, Swedish Vadstena monastery regulations mentioned ryas as bed covers. The bishop of Strängnäs castle in Tunnelsö had 3 rya rugs in 1443. Ryas have been used as bed covers in Finnish castles already in the 15th century. As rya weaving then became more and more popular, Finnish ryas were increasingly sent to Swedish court to keep the royals warm. Queen Margareta received 4 ryas from Viipuri in 1541 and 17 from the Olavinlinna castle in 1550. The king himself marked having received 20 Finnish rya from Turku. Turku castle itself owned a total of 71 ryas in 1560. During the 17th century, the ryas spread over the whole society in Finland, while the quilted bed covers replaced the ryas in noble households. The original ryas were simple with not much patterning involved. The colors came from the natural sheep wool, grey, white, black and brown. The ryas made for boats were often made in 2 pieces in narrow looms and then sewn together. The pattern, if there was any, was concentrated on the edges as the rugs were used the pile side down. During the 16th and 17th centuries, patterning of the rugs became more and more common and the rugs were flipped to showcase the pile. In 18th century Finland, rya weaving matured into an art form with complicated and often symbolic patterning. Ryas were part of a bride's dowry and they were used as prayer mats during the wedding ceremony. The ryas were then hung to the wall of the family home. The area of the rug was divided into simple frame around the edges and the center. The simplest patterns were stripes, net-like patterns and zigzag lines. In bourgeois homes it became popular to pattern ryas after fashionable motifs from Turkish rugs, gobelins and embroidery samples. Religious imaginary was also used a lot. Not many 17th century ryas have been preserved, but 18th century ryas show that the tradition was well established with distinguished regional styles. This genuine 18th century rya was recently donated to a charity shop in Finland, from where it was saved and is here being conserved at the Crafts Museum of Finland. Traditionally, the ryas were woven on a loom like this. These clips are from a fellow crafter Paivatar's YouTube channel. Go and check out her videos. I have a loom, but the size of the rya I wanted to make was too wide for my loom, so I opted for a modern version of making rya by sewing. The rya technique arrived pretty late to my childhood province in the eastern part of the country, so I decided to look for the patterns from my husband's family origins. Thus, I decided on making the Rya rug of Kangasniemi, the design of which is a typical pattern from the center of Finland, and as far as I know, based on this 18th century Rya. Okay, so I have instructions here. Then I have my yarn and these sticks around which I can put my yarn. So first things first, I need to make some balls of yarn. So let's start. A few example knots were there to help a beginner like me. My needle is threaded with 3 strands of yarn. This blue ruler is used to wrap the yarn around to keep the pile at certain length. So let's look at the technique a bit closer. You can see these pairs of warp yarns on the surface of the backing fabric. First you thread your needle right to left under the left yarn. Then you thread under the right yarn, again from right to left. Pull the yarn downwards and you get this knot. Then you wrap the yarn around the ruler and repeat this. So this is how it looks. When you have filled the ruler, or when you feel like it, you'll cut the loops open. For every square on the pattern I need to make 2 knots. This far I have used just brown and orange. Now we start adding other colors. To make it easier to place the knots at the right spots, there are these vertical lines on the backing fabric after every 20 knots that correspond to 10 squares on the pattern. Right about here I got fed up my nose and eyes reacting to the dust coming from the unfinished linen fringe at my lap. So I decided to hem the bottom edge to get rid of the unfinished edge. The bottom edge gets a simple hem like this. Hemming the edge really helped to my allergy symptoms, and it was much nicer to continue with the pattern. I have been now working about 1.5 weeks and I've finished the bottom edging. To make matters easier, I actually colored the diagram, and although I have now noticed that it has some mistakes, it's still easier than to try to remember which symbol corresponds to which color, especially because they are a bit misleading, like O is light blue instead of orange and S is green. I've been saving these little scraps that are left over. I'm not sure whether I'm going to need them. Some of these are actually long enough that I could use them for this if I'm using a crochet hook. I've done it for those scraps that I have to unravel if I put the wrong color in, for instance. But it just takes so much more time to do this with a crochet hook, so I have now decided that I'm just saving them, and if I need them later I can just use them then. Otherwise it just makes my rug making slower. My rug is showing lots of symbols common to the rugs of central Finland. The otherwise orange frame has thin brown border with triangular pattern. 2 tree-of-life motifs divide the main area in two. The lower tree has apples at the end of the branches and the upper one has flowers. Next to the lower tree there are 6 animal shapes. I think they are chickens. What do you think? The head of the chicken is orange and the beak is white. At this point I noticed that the numbers of the knots didn't match. I quickly noticed my error. Unraveling a few knots is easy. Just pull from the knot and the knot unravels. As I have these cut yarns here, I can also use a crochet hook to attach them, this time to the right places in the pattern. Back to the symbolism. The big flowers are pretty obvious. Then there are 2 couples, one on each side to preserve symmetry. Generally there are always either 2 couples or 2 brides. Men are never pictured alone. Here there is a little break in symmetry as the clothes differ slightly in colors. Besides chickens, my rug has 2 mooses, one on each side. Often these kinds of rugs have thin horse motifs, but here the horse shape has got antlers that make it clear to me that it is a moose. What is this blue thing in the middle? I'm not exactly sure. Somehow during my sewing though, I have decided that it is a small lake with water lilies growing in it. However, this is just my own personal interpretation. The whole rug altogether seems to wish happiness and wealth to a new married couple. As you can see, I started using my big embroidery stand to support my project. I placed the row I was working on onto the frame edge in front of me, and this made sewing the knots easier and faster. Now I'm starting the last row. It has taken me 2.5 months to make, but somehow it didn't feel that long. While sewing, I have been reading about the history of Finnish Rya rugs and started to appreciate this tradition. I have also bought myself an antique Rya rug from the year 1836 and I will try to clean and restore it. The 20th century saw a new generation of Rya designers with new ideas, materials and techniques. I got to see lots of examples at Ryijy-palvelu when I bought my Rya kit. There are several popular Facebook groups dedicated to Ryas where makers, owners and sellers can meet and discuss. In one of these groups, Irma Lehtonen has shared some small rugs she has designed and made for presents to her family. Another designer is Karjalainen, who is now Perttola, who used waste materials to make this modern Rya. $15,714 knots later, this rug is finished. I finished the upper edge the same way than the lower edge. Then I used this big comb to go through the pile, catching all the loops that had missed my scissors earlier. Then I carefully trim away any pile yarns that are too long. So I added a wooden bar to the top of the rug and hang it here to the staircase wall where it faces the living room and I can watch it every day. I really like how it turned out, and this is not probably going to be the last rug I make, but for now I think this was enough knots. However, somehow I still miss this project. I liked sitting on the floor and knotting because it was a mindless thing to do and I could listen to a podcast or watch TV at the same time. But here it is. Thank you for watching, and if you are interested in making your own rug, I'll put some useful links down below. Please link and subscribe to help me grow this channel. See you soon. Bye!